now after the operation has been a success, we're learning that their photos have been taken by drone cameras and the process of identification is currently underway. But sources are indicating that these are the same terrorists that had carried out the brutal Pahalgam terrorist attack on the 22nd of April this year.
Yes, you rightly said, because when this information came to the forces, they started, their operation, and they have ensured that those who are hiding in the forest area, they has to be neutralized. And yes, they have to sanitize that area. They have to recover the bodies and weapons, arms, and ammunition which they were carrying with them. And sources are saying that they were heavily armed, and they were getting the all the support from across as well, because terrorists, those who are active in Jammu and Kashmir nowadays, they are using the communication devices which are not easily traceable for the authorities. So that's why it's a big thing. And when they carried out that attack, security forces, they launched the searches at the same time. But definitely they were changing their location from one to another location. They were moving, and when it comes to the forces, when they came to know that they are hiding over there in the forest area in Dachigam in central Kashmir, they immediately rushed to the spot, and area was cordoned off and operation was started.
Indeed, Ajay, stay on with us. We also have with us Major General Rajan Kochar joining us on the broadcast this afternoon. Sir, you've been waiting rather patiently. Earlier, we were, of course, discussing the parliament, but in the midst of that, major news coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. The Indian Army has carried out Operation Mahadev. 3 terrorists have been eliminated. Sources are indicating that these terrorists are from the Lashkar-e-Toiba, and they are likely to have been involved in the Pahalgam terror attack, in which 26 innocent civilians had lost their lives. Big win for the Indian Army in J&K. What is your reaction?
Thank you. I think my first reaction is that we need to congratulate the forces for this wonderful achievement, because it's not easy operating in these jungles, and it's not easy to get this kind of information and intel which these terrorists today have got. These modern satellite phones, and they've got apps which don't work on internet. So all this technology is there with them. So to get them in spite of the constraints of technology is a very, very great achievement. Secondly, these operations were going on for quite some time now, especially in the Kishtwar area. And we had the special forces operating here. And they were constantly combing the forest areas, because a few days back, intel was available that some terrorists were seen in these jungles. And what is also more important is, see, these jungles are actually such that from the aerial surveillance, you are not able to make out anything, right? Even if you use drones, you will not be able to get those movements of the terrorists inside the jungle because of the constraints of terrain and the foliage. So I must compliment our forces, but at the same time, we should not jump to conclusions that these were the people who took part in the Pahalgam attack, because it's too early to make such a statement, because unless we have conclusive evidence to suggest that these 3 people were those, out of those 4 people who were involved in the Pahalgam attack, because there are sketches available, there are camera footages also available of those 4 terrorists, and I'm sure that a verification would be coming shortly, and an official spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense would actually come out with these details. One last important aspect I actually want to bring out about these operations is that these, the intelligence, what we actually gather from these operations, at times this intelligence works, both ways, because the kind of informers who are giving us intelligence also at the same time are also forewarning those terrorists that the Indian Army is looking for them. So this is the great actually challenge, because we have seen this happening, the sleeper cells operating here, the OGWs who are actually working here to help those terrorists. And we actually saw in Pahalgam also how OGWs were operating to give these terrorists information. So in the end, I would like to conclude on a very successful operation by the Indian Army. My compliments to the commanders, to the soldiers on ground, to the officers on ground for a remarkable achievement.
Indeed, sir. And as we are speaking, the Chinar Corps has in fact put out a tweet. They have stated an update as far as this particular operation is concerned. The Chinar Corps has highlighted that Operation Mahadev, where 3 terrorists have been neutralized in an intense firefight, and the operation continues. So they've given a clarification as far as the successful neutralization of these particular terrorists are concerned. Sources are indicating that they are from the Lashkar-e-Toiba, but as the Chinar Corps highlights, the operation continues, but no official confirmation has been given as far as whether these terrorists were involved in the Pahalgam terror attack or not. But sources, intel sources, are indicating that they cannot rule out the role that these terrorists might have played in the attack, and their photos have been taken by drone cameras, and the process of identification is currently underway. Major General Kochar, you had initially joined us for our discussion on the Operation Sindoor issue that the Parliament is taking up today. I want to ask you on that note, what we've been witnessing over the last couple of months is a very united stand by both the government and the opposition as far as this particular operation and the success it was is concerned. But somehow the tone and tenor has changed since the Parliament session has commenced. Is it correct to politicize this issue?
Thank you, because I listened to both the spokesperson of yours, BJP and Congress, and their viewpoints actually they have brought out. 2 things emerge from the discussion on your channel. One thing is a formal statement on the government with regard to Pahalgam. Was it an intelligence failure? And if it was intelligence failure, then what action the government has taken against those people who were responsible for the failure? So this is not a politicalization of an issue. This is the facts which the nation would like to know, because we don't want a repeat of Pahalgam. See, unless we identify the lapses which took place in Pahalgam, and unless we correct those lapses, we will not be able to ensure that another Pahalgam does not take place. So from that point of view, I don't think it is a politicalization of that issue as far as Pahalgam is concerned. Now we come to Operation Sindoor, which your question is framed upon. So now you see this entire 4-day operation. Every day there were press briefings by the Ministry of External Affairs, by the defense spokesperson, DGMOs and the senior officers. And it was told to the public, the entire country knows that what has happened in Operation Sindoor, to what extent the damage has been done to the Pakistanis, and to what extent the Pakistanis have been able to damage us. The point which now emerges is that the government has not disclosed, like we hear that some aircrafts were shot down by Pakistan, but the government has not disclosed that. It is not necessary to disclose these things in Parliament, because these are certain issues of national security. I feel you don't you publicize your numbers that okay, we lost this, we lost that. It's not required, because at the end of the day, why was Operation Sindoor carried out? Was your political aim met? Was your military aim met? And if these were met, then calling a ceasefire after 4 days is not a wrong thing to do, because nobody wants to prolong a conflict, because once you set out for a conflict, and if you achieve those aims, there is no point in prolonging it if the other party also wants to end it. That is my first point. The second point is that there is no doubt that Operation Sindoor was a great success. And you see, any government, any political party would like to take a mileage out of this. See, it is very, very natural if a party in power is there and if they have launched an operation and if that operation has been a success, they would take, political mileage out of it. And my last point is, as far as the parliament, discussion is concerned, government has given you 16 hours of time to discuss Operation Sindhu. Why don't you discuss it? Because first you said that government was not willing to discuss this. Now government says that we have given you 16 hours. You are bringing in the SIR of Bihar. These are two different issues. And I think if we can separate this out, if we can make the opposition understand that Sindoor will be discussed and thereafter we are willing to discuss SIR. If that kind of assurance can be given by the government, I think this impasse can be got over, because some kind of political maturity is required right now in parliament. You must discuss Operation Sindoor because the government is willing to tell you why the ceasefire happened, who ordered the ceasefire. See, it is, President Trump may say anything. Vice President Vance was in a discussion with both our external affairs minister as well as the Prime Minister and the Army Chief of Pakistan. And constantly this discussion was taking place. But ultimately, who will decide on the ceasefire? It was Pakistan who wanted the ceasefire because the kind of damage was done to Pakistan. And don't forget, the Kirana Hills were also addressed. So I don't like to go deep into that controversy, but it was a major blow for Pakistan that a place like Sargoda could be penetrated by our missile system, which they thought was invincible. So that is one major takeaway, I would say that. And Vance was in touch with us with the Pakistan, but ultimately it is the Pakistan and India who have to decide on the ceasefire. Trump has no role to play in this. Trump can act as a via media to initiate a talk, but what happens in the talk, America is not part of that talk. It is a talk between two bilateral countries, a talk between two governments, a talk between two DGMOs. And that is how, if Pakistan has expressed a desire to have a ceasefire, we deliberated upon it. We did not actually give an instant answer to Pakistan. It happened at 9 in the morning, and we got back to Pakistan by 3:30 in the afternoon. And that is the time we told Pakistan, okay, we are okay with the ceasefire. And then the ceasefire got implemented. So there is no role of USA in this. And I think this 16 hours of session of the government in parliament is going to clarify this, is going to make a statement which should put aside the apprehensions of the opposition parties, and they must now not shy away from it, because if they don't accept this opportunity, I don't think Sindoor will get discussed ever, because this monsoon session is going to finish soon, and then the Bihar elections take place. Everybody would get focused on the Bihar elections, and Sindoor would be not you addressed. So in case, I would like to appeal from your channel to all the opposition parties that in case you are interested to know government's viewpoint on Operation Sindoor, please allow this session to take place for 16 hours. And you can get an assurance from the government that after this session is over, your demand for discussion on the SIR of Bihar would also be addressed.